Oh, that's looking good. That is looking good, everybody. All right, let me get these other cameras connected. Make sure if you're watching over on YouTube, you give me a thumbs up. There we go, perfect. Cool, cool, cool. Everything's looking fantastic. You guys are looking fantastic, as always. All right, we're all fantastic all the time. So, my name's Paint with Josh. Welcome to the studio. Welcome to the show. It's going to be fantastic. Let me tell you some of the colors we're going to go through today, and I need to get a couple more colors out. So, right off the bat, we're going to be using our bright red, our Indian yellow, maybe our yellow ochre, maybe a touch of our crimson and our purple, maybe a bit of our blue, our other crimson, our black, and our white. Maybe our dark Sienna brown and our Van Dyke brown too. We'll see what happens by the time we get out here. So let me tell you what I've done onto my canvas so far. Right, as of right now, we have our 24 inch by 24 inch perfect square, right? Same exact amount, top and bottom, okay? I initially put our black gesso along the bottom and then let that dry, kind of let it smear up into here, give us the effect of some trees, right? Let that thing dry, and then right before I turned the cameras on, I covered it in our liquid clear, and then I put our liquid white on the top. You can see where I've drawn my sort of power lines for my black gesso. That way when we cover them with our paint, they'll go very faint into the distance, right? Which is what we want. Now, let's grab a small little brush. Actually, you know what? Before we do anything else, let's get in here. Because when you put that clear on, right, a lot of times it's very thick. So you have to wipe it off and get that excess paint, right? There's not a whole lot. Not a whole lot there, but we do want to wipe it and remove the excess color so there's not too much just in our black section, okay? Now, you tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? Tell me what your favorite sandwich is right now. Otherwise, I just don't know what we're going to do, you guys. Just don't know what we're going to do. All right, remember, you can get this one if you go to paintwithjosh.com. I think we've got enough of our paints out here. Let's go into our Indian yellow first. Oh, the Indian yellow, right? I'm going to plop it right over these power lines just to show you that it's a transparent color, meaning that if it goes over the darkness, it stays dark. And when we bring it into that bright, it stays nice and bright, right? We'll have a bit of our Indian yellow, just a little puff right out there into the sky, right? Come over here into our yellow ochre. Get over here. There's a lot of skin on the top. There we go. We could have been ready for the show, but no, who wants that, right? Get our yellow ochre color, and you'll see it's a little different in the shallows. Just a little touch of our shallow over here being a small amount different. Get that piece of skin. Hang on. There we go. That piece of skin out of here. There it is. The old yellow ochre. Now, we're leaving some space. We're kind of letting it grow out, and then we're going to go back and blend it out with our big old 2-inch brush, right? So in the beginning, it looks like a mess. I very much agree with you that it looks kind of blah, right? Because we're just dumping on these colors, right? Let's go into our bright red, and then we'll go back and we'll soften everything out. Our bright red over here, maybe it's got a little twinge around there. Not really caring where it goes, right? We could have got on a bigger brush for our bigger canvas, but who wants to do that, right? Now remember, all the darkness is going to want to grow into our lighter color, especially when we start our blending. So, allow there to be a bit of room out there for stuff to grow. Right? Now we're going to go into our crimson, which is a little darker in the red. There we go. There it is. Right? A little darker. It's a little more purplish red. Right? We don't need a whole lot because it depends on what you're going to do for the rest of your scene. Right? If you take your crimson and work that guy in and let it get a little darker, right? All this stuff is here. And then you have to decide, do you want to use purple or do you want to use your blue? What if you guys? You guys to tell me what you want me to use. You tell me out here, right in the comments, right now, you want to see purple out in the sky or you want to see blue? A little bit of blue out there anyway. And then we can let it blend down. What do you think? Tell me now. Tell me now. Tell me now. We got blues, 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 purple, blue, purple. Margaret, thanks for watching over there on Facebook, guys. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, give me a thumbs up. Give me an old thumbs up, just right here. That's all you need. One time, thumbs up on YouTube. That's it. Right? Let's do, we got so many comments for blue, and I'm thinking it's because maybe people don't have purple. and they only have blue and they want to see what it looks like, right? So right over the brush, same thing, drop it down, right? Because our canvas is wet and we're mixing with that titanium, or excuse me, our liquid white, it's going to instantly change it from a very dark blue to a very bright blue, right? Exactly what we want it to do. Now, we don't want that blue to grow in too far and get too close to our yellow. That's why we put a stripe of red and a stripe of crimson in between, right? Now, let's go one little touch of our black as well. Just a little bit. A little bit of black up in the top corner. That's all you need, really. Now, we're going to switch to a big old monster of a brush. This monster 2-inch, right? We're going to go into where? Our darkest area first or our brightest area first? Can you guys tell me right now? And then remember, this painting is available on paintwithjosh.com. Very first thing you're going to see. Let's see, brightest area first or darkest area? Shan says bright, Carolyn says bright, or Caroline. Tyler Bradford over there on YouTube watching with Tink Tink. Hey Tink Tink, long time no see. Right, I'm gonna come over here. Whoop, that was a bad flip. There we go. I'm gonna come over here with the 2-inch brush and start in our lightest area first. Right, so we start gripping up on some of these yellows. Pushing them out, maybe, yep, wrapping them around the side of our canvas, just like that. The more that you mix, the softer and softer and softer it'll become. Right, so then, once you get out here into your second yellow, you kind of mix that guy down in. You can't really tell where one starts and one stops. Then you get out here into the red. And the red really wants to tell you where it starts and stops, right? So you have to blend that guy a little softer, a little more. Just blend it, blend it, blend it, blend it. If you notice that you have too much paint up here and it's dragging in too far, you can go dab your brush off on a paper towel, or judge it by your pressure, right? How hard are you pushing into this canvas? Depends on everything, right? If you're pushing real hard, then your red and all your oranges are gonna start to grow down real far. If you're not pushing hard at all, then maybe it just stays right where it is and doesn't change too much, right? All up to us. Grab some of that crimson color and let it work down, right? How far do you want it to go? Up to you guys, right? Push it, blend it, spread it around, and you can still see all of our little power lines back in here because of that black gesso, right? If we were to drag the color across it, you can still see the darkness below, right? Now, once we're out here, we got to make sure that we're fully blended out because we don't want to go back in getting any blue and then having to come back in here. So what if, just by grabbing some of this pinkish purplish color right here onto our brush, what if we came back like this and just tossed in like a far away little bit of a cloud? Just a little soft little pinky little deal out there, right? Never know what it's going to look like until you put one in. And that is really, really cool, right? Now, the more that you mix it, again, the more it's going to go crazy and the blue is going to want to grow. So we're going to come up here and grab a little bit of it, kind of stretch it out, right? All we're trying to do, mix it, blend it down to where we really can't tell where one thing is. One color starts and one color stops, right? All up to us. Look at how far this blue wants to grow. This is why we put that little reddish and crimson kind of barrier in there, like that. Blend it, blend it, blend it, blend it, blend it. Now, eventually, right, you can see all my little my brush marks, because this brush now has too much color on it to continue. It wants to keep dragging all that back over here, which I don't necessarily want. I want to keep it nice and bright. So let's go wash this brush off. Beat the devil out of it, sugar. And you got to tell me where you're watching from and what time is it where you are right now. Literally, I really want to know. Type it in the comments. I'm going to come back there and read out some answers. Where are you from? What time is it right now? Dab off this brush, get it all cleaned up for you. And you guys, we're opening up the Paint with Josh studio very soon here in Eugene. So we're going to be teaching in-person classes, guys. Oh, man, that looks fantastic. 809, we got 110, 810, 609, 109, 709, 909, 809, 609, 709, 909. No one's watching back in the past, like 409? No? Okay, that's fine. All right, let's get in here with our nice, clean, dry brush, right? We dipped it into our mineral spirits, flicked it into a trash can, beat the devil out of it into the bucket. Now, where do I want to come with a nice clean brush? Do I want to go out here into the dark first, or should I start over into the light? You tell me. You tell me where we go. Right? Do we start in the light first, or do we start into the dark? Oh, 5:10, I see you, I see you. That's what time it is here in Eugene, Oregon. You must be on the West Coast. You must be on the West Coast. So that's where our studio is going to be, guys, in Eugene, Oregon. We're literally about to get the keys in like 2 days. Prep it, open the doors, and you guys are going to come take some classes. I already know it. All right, so I'm feeling you're telling me we need to start into the light area. Some of that red onto our brush, right? Out here, very softly. And that way when we drag back across, there's not a lot of paint on the brush, so it won't drag all that paint back across all of our other wet paint out there. Now, we decided, once we get out here, and get some of this blue onto it, oh, look at it, it wants to grow, right? So we gotta decide with our pressure how far we're gonna let it grow, how much pressure we're putting on the canvas, right? And it doesn't all have to be blue. We can have little pink areas and little spots that aren't all the same, right? Because that looks a little bit more real. And then you can come up here with your clouds. But look, all of a sudden, we're getting too much paint on the brush again. It's starting to drag our blue too far. So let's get some of that paint off. Either dabbing it off on a paper towel or washing it into the bucket, right? Beat the devil out of it like that. You don't have to clean it and beat the devil out of it every time. Just by dabbing it off on a paper towel 10 or 20 times, it's nice and cleaning it. Right? We're going to come up into our light first, kind of grab a little section of that darkness and just kind of smooth those little brush flicks away. Right? You can do this a million times over until you have it just as soft as you want it to be. Right? The more that you drag, the more that you mix, the harder it's going to be to determine where one color starts and one color stops, right? Really, really cool. The more we mix, the more we mix. I like leaving 30 colors in there, you know what I mean? Everything from super bright yellow to this softer to orangey to darker to red to pink to blue to purple to all these things. Mixing throughout onto our brush, right out here. The more you go around, the cooler it starts to be, right? Mix it, mix it, mix it. Now, if you end up putting on so much paint that you lose your little guys down here, we're going to bring them back out with some of our oils, right over the tip top. So don't you dare worry. Look at that sky, though. That is a sky and a half. Oh, I love it. Pop a little bit of darkness down over there. We put a big old tree on this side anyway. Look at that. Wow. Okay. Now, let's get out here, and we're going to go into our titanium white, which I never seem to have enough of on my palette, right? This is the Bob Ross titanium white. Oh, it's very thick in the tube. Looks just like this guy. So, we're going to get a little of this out, throw it onto the old palette down here. It's got some air pockets in this one. There we go. Now, again, the more paint that we put up here, the more we're going to cover our little power lines off in the distance, which you may not even see anymore, right? Oh man, that looks so nice. Just so nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, over here, let's grab a little touch of our white. Just a little bit. We don't need too much, right? Maybe right on the tip top of our little guy over here, let's just add a touch of white back in there. Just kind of dabbing it onto the canvas, right? We know the white is going to move when we go to brush it, so we'll be very light-handed and we'll brush it out. The more that we brush it out, the softer it becomes, the harder it becomes to see, the further away it gets, right? One little touch in the night. Now, what if that whole thing, what if it came along over here and just started to mush and push and grow wherever it wants? Doesn't have to connect, doesn't need to do anything. All right, we'll come back over here and we'll grab it. Start mixing it down very lightly, leaving the light or the top edge bright, and the more that we mix it, the softer it becomes. Right? These little floaters out there. You decide how they look. The more that we put on there, the harder it's going to be to see our little power lines, right? And all it is a mush and a push, right? Little mush, little push. That's all we gotta do. Little push, little swish, little here, little there. We're playing basketball now. Over here, over there. A little bit of growing through our sky. Right, we'll wipe off our brush, come back. Brush is nice and wiped off. Remember, you can watch this on YouTube as well as Facebook if you're watching over here on TikTok. And check them out over there. Now, if I wanted it to be a bit brighter and stand out a bit more, right, I'm going to pop a little bit more paint onto that guy. And then again, blend him back down where we like it, right? Not everywhere is going to be so super bright, but I'm imagining that the front area is going to catch all that light. Right? It's going to allow it to blend down so softly that you can even still see the lines underneath, which is what we're going for. Right? The more we mix, the more it's going to turn into a whole different thing. Different color, different everything. Take our little brush, very lightly, swipe it up, very soft, 3 hairs and some air. Right? We're not trying to drag the clouds, we're not trying to push the paint, we're trying to do anything. This cool little thing out there. That's very neat. All right, now, what if we had something up here too? Just a whole other little floater. Right? Getting our clouds. What if, we'll change our shape, just literally mushing it, pushing it, it's very flat, it's rolling out, literally trying to drop off every piece of brightness that we possibly have into our canvas, right? All that color is going to mix away. So we start to take it, mush it down, and push it, and blend it until we like how it looks, right? We take a step back and we go, okay, what's it look like when I do this? And what's it look like when I do that? Right? Now out here into the blue, I'm not going to want to go back into that lighter color because it's going to drop those shadows, right? Oh, isn't that fantastic? Isn't that just fantastic, you guys? So, by the way, remember, this one is available on paintwithjosh.com. I always gotta say it. You guys know it's how I make my living. We'll be opening up our studio very soon here in Eugene, a couple days away from getting the keys, and then I need a couple days to figure some stuff out, and we'll get it opened up for you. It's gonna be really awesome. You can come down and take in-person classes, and have London's candles down there from Glittermix. So, you guys will be awesome. Look at that. Oh, man. Now, what if somehow, right? Just somehow in some way here in the night, these guys kind of crisscrossed in between, right? So if we add a lot more brightness up here and let it work itself down, then they're going to crisscross, and one will look like it's in front of the other. Way out there, it doesn't even have to look like any certain thing when you're out here mixing it up, or at least dropping on the color, right? Then we come down here and we start to grab it, kind of push it back and away, right? We're going to decide, you can come in with another one behind it, but you have to work that color away from its brightest point, down into its darkest point, leaving little spots, little bits of brightness, little bits of difference, right? The more you mix it, the more it kind of turns into the sky color that's back there, right? The brighter it is, the more close it's going to look. Right? You get to go back, you get to decide each time what it looks like, how bright it is, right? Mix it down into its little darker area. And then, what if, right? If you're going to project, what if we take that bit of white and we come down in here again into that brightness. Goodness, what happened over there? There we go. Into that, our brightest point, into the darkest part of our cloud back here. And this guy just floats way down underneath. Right? You never know until you do it. Mush that paint around so it's a little easier to blend with our brush. Right? Take it out here. Start pushing on it. Mush it on it. You got some back here. You got some underneath. You got some everywhere. The more that you push, the more gorgeous it becomes. Right? Out here, trying to leave it a little bit brighter along its dark edge right there, and that'll help it look a little closer. Not everything has to be so super bright or vice versa super dark. You decide how you want it to look each time you do it. Oh, that's cool. That is cool. Look at that sky. Look at that sky, you guys. Holy shaving cream. Literally the cool things we can do. What if we have one just to fill in this little space? We've got a little floater. Yeah. Just a soft little floater of a cloud out there. Right? Not everywhere has to be overly filled. I'll take this guy and blend it upwards. And like I said, not everywhere's going to be so bright or so dark. You get to decide what it looks like, how it blends, how it looks, how it goes. All up to you guys every time you do it. Literally every time you do it, it's up to you. I like that. I like that. It's a little flat. What if we come up a little bit more? There we go. All right, then we'll come down. We're going to pop in our little grass and little farmhouse area. Right? Down into here. We're going to pop some trees up into our brightness, into our sky. And then we're going to have a little farmhouse out in the distance back there. Softly, softly, softly. The more you mix it, the more you do it, the more different it becomes. Look at that, you guys. And I appreciate it I appreciate it. Let's let this light work down just a little bit. Right in there. All right. The more you do it, the more you do it. The more you're going to cover up. Wow. I like that one. Okay. Now, let's get out here, and we're going to mix up a little bit of our plaque mix. Right? That Paint with Josh plaque mix. The deepest, darkest color that you can possibly mix up using oil paints, right? We're going to take our black, our crimson, and our what? What's that last color that we like to use when we're making up our Paint with Josh plaque? There's only three. There's three colors that you got to use. Right? We call it Paint with Josh plaque around here. Our purplish black. It's our mix for everything, our shadow mix. Right? It's the Paint with Josh shadow mix. What's that last color that we put in there? Can you tell me? You got to type it in the comments. Thank you, Danielle. Appreciate it. We got crimson, we got black, and then what's that last one? Life Officials. We're going to paint like a little farmhouse kind of a deal out here. It's going to be really cool. Blue, exactly. The blue color. Right? Now, let's get out here. We'll grab just an old bushy brush, just like the Bob Ross round one. Because I'm going to use my Paint with Josh round one closer up. I don't want to get it all dirty. We're going to get a little bit of this paint out here. We'll take a little touch of our white as well. Mix that guy down in here. Because we don't need it to be the darkest paint so far away. All right, so we're taking it. You can see the difference already. It's almost like a lighter blue. And then we can darken it down to our liking based on how you want it to look. Right? So let's say maybe we had a couple little tip taps over here. Just a, right? A little bit taller, a little shorter. Right? Everything else underneath it's going to be very dark. So don't worry about that. We just need that lighter color up here along the tip tops. Right? Doesn't need to be just a perfect thing. I just never like it to be a straight line across anywhere. Right? I like it to have itself and have all of its imperfections. Now let's get rid of this lighter color. With all that white, let's go straight into our Paint with Josh plaque, deepest, darkest color. And get it onto our brush. And through here, we're going to start popping it up, make it a little bit darker. All right, a little darker, and start leaning it down. We want to leave some room for our guys back here in the distance, right? Over there, a little smaller, a little smaller. Perfect. Now, we need to sort of mist up this area right here, just a small amount, right? So with our brush that we were making all of our clouds with, it has our light color on it already, right? So if we start tapping into the darkness and bringing it down, right, just a little bit, it's going to mix in with the color that's already on our brush, right? We're not trying to go straight across either. It's going to up and down and up and down, and then this part we're going to take and pull out with a different brush and make it look like our land back there. All right, so all we need to do, little taps, kind of grabbing some of the darkness, tapping it down. Over here, over there, over here, over there, right? Doesn't even have to look the same across the whole thing. It's the whole best part about it. Right? Tapping it, making it a little softer for our next layer to come in, literally. Now, I'm going to get a clean brush, because that one's got that light color on it. I'm going to get a clean brush with no paint, and remember there's nothing down here. There's no undercolor. Come in, we're going to mist it up a little bit. You can see just how bright it gets with no undercolor beneath it, because there's nothing to mix that white down onto. Right? We're relying on the darkness and that small amount of light just to leave a little touch of mist at the base of our forest or faraway trees or whatever you're going to call it. Right? Now, you can go back and you can throw a little, and I'm talking about a little touch of highlight on there, because they're very far away. Right? They're not your closest thing. You don't want to have much. Right? So if you choose to highlight those trees far away, we're not going to use a lot of paint. Right? If anything, is that enough? A little bit of our little sap green right here on the brush, and literally tap just a small amount. Right? Little places, because if it's too green or too bright, then it's going to look wrong. It's going to look off. Because it's too green, it's too bright, right? A couple little taps out there. Literally all you need. And then we're going to get into our grass. The grassiness. It's so stinking cold up here in Oregon, you guys. I'm talking about freezing temperatures. And I want to paint somewhere nice and warm, at least somewhere that makes me feel warm, right? Anybody ever get like that? Like, oh, it's so cold. I just want to paint something warm, like a nice tropical beach or a cute a quaint little farmhouse in the sunset. It reminds me of summertime. Am I the only person that does that? Or do you guys do that too? Right? Because sure, there's like there's seasonal paintings, right? Yeah, there's seasonal paintings. But sometimes you gotta break that season just because you want to feel warm, man. It's so cold. Over here. Get all these brushes cleaned out. You guys tell me where you're watching from. What time is it? Where you are right now? Type it in the comments right now. What time is it where you are in the world? We're gonna need to get some of our green out. Let's see, you guys are telling me where you are and what time it is back there. We're watching from Utah, from Maine, Tennessee, California, Florida, Indiana. Thanks, Jesse's Art World. Appreciate it. Let's see, Montana, Florida, South Carolina, Wyoming, Quebec, Canada, Ottawa. Woo, painting with oils, Colleen. Thank you. Watching from Florida, from Cali. Queen Barbie, first live. Thanks for being here, man. First time watching. You're going to get hooked. You're going to get hooked. Let's see. We'll put a little bit of our green out. I have some of my cad yellow and my yellow ochre for the grass, so that's good. Okay. Now, on a big old scene like this, if you so choose to use your 2-inch brush, all right, we're going to pull a little of our sap green, a little bit of our cad yellow, yellow ochre, excuse me. It's more of a brownish yellow, which gives us more of a fall type, kind of almost dead grass look. Just like that. Ah, fabulous, right? Tapping it in onto our brush. Now, we got to decide, maybe way back there, we're tapping in this small little line, right? And all of a sudden you've determined where your land lives, right? Now you got to start worrying about angles. If we start going straight down, it's going to look like a big dip like this. Like what if it dipped down like that, right? Now all of a sudden, we continued on and even filled in this little area back in here. Little dip, little flatter, little flatter, little flatter, right? And it looked like the more that you go, the more dippy it gets, right? You get to determine what it looks like each time that you do yours, right? I like them sometimes a certain way, sometimes other ways. Dip down like that, right? Maybe it dipped down again. Maybe there was a whole little, there was a little trench right here. It got a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger, and the more we came this way, the more bigger it got. Just like that. Maybe this guy dips down, right? Falling into that little trench that's down there. And maybe we no longer have enough paint on our brush to keep it nice and bright, right? So we'll go back in, load up with our yellow and our green, and it's not a lot, guys. It's not a whole chunk. We don't need it super chunkified, right? Little bits of color. Let's say we came out here like this. Same thing. Maybe this guy dips down like that, right? You never know until you do it. Maybe those guys just dangled over the side, right? If you don't like how that looks, maybe you go back over it, right? I like how that looks, though. It's very cool. Changing the angle of our grass. Not everywhere is going to be as filled in as everywhere else, right? You never know what is going to do what or where everything is going to sit. At least I don't know when we start doing these things, right? The more that we do, the more we do. Let me come out here a little bit more. A little bit of grass on this side. Now, we can determine what we want to put in at any moment, right? But let's say I promised you an old farmhouse out there. So let's say off into the distance, we don't need it to be big, right? We can go real far away. Kind of put our blade against the canvas, pull it down, and just sort of shape out what you want your little farmhouse building to look like, right? All up to you what color you use to highlight it and all of that stuff. Let's grab a little bit of our plaque, pop a little section onto our knife, right? Have a little roll out there like that. Go back up, find where we had our little thing, and just black it out, right? far away little farm building, maybe it's a barn, maybe it's something. Whack it out like that, right? The more that you put on there and the further down you go, the better it's going to be. Just remember to hold your knife at those right angles. Like that and like that. So you got a little peak at the top of your building. Okay, pull out some more, nice and flat. We're never using the whole pile, right? Always grabbing minimally. This guy, let's go straight down. Maybe two. Ooh, he's a big old guy. Right? You can see the difference where it comes down, kind of drops a little bit, and then it's a straighter line off on the side. It's exactly what you want to have. Okay? Over here, over there. Remember I said to pull it down a little bit farther than you think you need to, and then you can decide where it sits, right? So let's pull it down even further. Just to show you, the further down it comes, the closer and closer and closer it starts looking to us, right? Now, I want to take one more little touch of my plaque, grab that thing up, a little bit down here. We're going to go on a downward angle though. It's always about the one thing I see in the mistakes is the angle of your roof, right? By either changing this angle up here to have it be a little bit taller, and then have it droop, not droop down, but kind of down at a small angle and then change again, right? Whatever you want, fill it in like that. Now you've got a little building out there, right? Let's say, maybe it's got a little tin roof. What if we took a bit of our white and a bit of our plaque and we mix them together until you get this kind of silvery color, right? Grab that color, come over here, lay it down, right? You get to decide how thick it is, how bright it gets to be, how full it is, and all of a sudden you got yourself a little tin roof off the back side of your little guy, right? If it's over there, it's got to be right here as well, just off the front side, catching a little bit of light, right? Now, how far does it go down your roof, right? You get to decide. You want to know an easy way to do it? You get down like that, you can come up underneath it and just a nice little straight little edge on the side of your building back there, okay? Now, I'm going to take out a lot of this black color we don't need just by scraping it off. All the pink that was right there. Isn't that insane? Scrape it off and let's mix up a little white, a lot of crimson, a lot of red. Over there. Oh yes, look at that, right? You don't want to make it too white because then that makes it too pink. And you can't just use the red or the crimson by itself. You've got to mix the two together. Now we're going to come scrape off of this guy. Come over here and let's say, drop down a bit of red. The red's the hardest one to do because it wants to mix in with that plaque very quickly. Right? Leave a little disconnect in between. Wipe it off, scoop up the rest. So you got all that paint right on the edge. Turn our knife. Over like this. Touch. Pull down. You don't need it to break like a mountain. You just need it to be out there. Right? Be there and then just pull down. The more you pull down, the more it's going to mix in with those plaque mixes in different colors, darkening your red each time that you do it, right? So, again, up to you how you want it to look. And off the back side, we're just going to over mix it a bit so it turns into a darker color of that same red. That's what that plaque is perfect for. It mixes stuff down for us where we don't have to do it. Look at that. Oh, he's cute. He's cute. I like him. I like that. A little touch right there. His roofiness. His roofedness. There we go. Oh, he's nice. Okay, now let's go put a little big old door in the middle of him. And scrape out right there, right in the center, right? And you can either leave it just like that, like a big old open door, come in on the edges of your guy right here and just kind of seal in where you want your door to be. That's all we're really doing. Just kind of touching along the edge of it like that. And along the top. Right? Got a really cool little door right there. That is neat. Okay, now we got to decide where we want him to live, right, as far as the grass is concerned. So we'll come back in here, a little of our yellow, a little of our sap green, and we're going to start, I'm just using just the corner of the brush over there, right, just to tap it out a little bit. Okay, grabbing some of that thing, just kind of seating him in. Right, now we need to work a little bit higher, so we're going to start a little higher up here, work down at this little angle so you have this check mark. That makes your building look a little bit more 3D out there in the night. Right? However you want it to look. That's how you want it to look. Dab it in little places here, there, everywhere. Right? we get to decide how bright it gets, how dark it gets. This, that, and the other. There's always these little drainage ditches that run down the side of your road. Remember, this, my friends, is a little roadway right there. It's going to be the side or the edge of where our road is, and we're kind of pulled over and we're looking off the side over here to this gorgeous little farm, this quaint little place. It's fantastic. Right up along the edge. Perfect, 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 right? I never like it to be just so dark, so we leave it a little bit and kind of go over it maybe 1, 2 times, right? That way, you can always go back and brighten it up if you need to. Let's say these guys are flown in. Right? Different angles over here, over there. Not every place is going to be all the same. Some areas are a little bit flatter, some areas dip a little bit more. We can go back here and very lightly transition that real bright color from that dark color. Not trying to lose everything, right? Little things out there, guys. Oh, that's neat. I like it. Sure, guys, look at that. That's a cute little farmhouse out in the night, if I do say so myself. So, you guys, you can go grab it if you go to paintwithjosh.com. But you got to be the first one over there, right? If you're not the first one over there, I can't help you. I just can't help you over here. Oh, I love the little drainage ditch. He's my favorite. Okay, now let's come out and let's add in some different stuff, right? I know I'm going to want to have one big tree over on this side, and I know that my little power lines got lost over here, right? And we don't want them to be too dark. We want them to be a mix of these two colors right here. A mix of our kind of slate, that hot tin roof, and our plaque. It just kind of darkens it up the smallest bit. Because then we're going to come in and make our very small little guys, which I already determined where they were going to be. Coming in very light, down like that. This guy, down like that. This guy, down like that. Right? Makes it much easier and much quicker to do if you already have your outline. Even though it's covered, we still have our outline of what we want and what we wanted to do back there, right? So let's say we come over here, just like this. Let's pop one in like that. Put our little guy on the top, little guy on the top even smaller. Down and down, right? That's all 3 of those guys, all exactly the same, just further in the distance, meaning they're smaller, okay? And then we're going to come in with our second guy. He's got a thing right there. And right there, where our thing is, right? So these guys would have another little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, just a little bit lower each time you're going backwards, okay? Now, should we do it like this? That's going to be literally the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Literally the hardest thing I've ever had to do is about to happen right now. Well, I'm not going to necessarily do it all right now, but there's always a little drum right down here at the bottom too. I'm just going to make this guy a little bit thicker. He's going down a bit more. There we go. A little bit thicker. A little bigger, a little closer. We can see a little bit more onto him, right? Now, this one might be the simplest one to do at this angle, to where we're going to lay the brush and just let it roll down on top of that little guy, right? But it's hard to see. Normally when I do these lines, I'm doing them flat on my table, right? So a little bit easier to see at that point when they're laying flat, and a little bit easier to control my brush. But just for you guys, I'm going to do it. There we go. There it is. You can see how we stopped a little shorter, stopped a little longer, and then stopped a little longer as well, meaning they're getting closer to us, right? Very cool. Okay, now, shoo, guys. All right, we might as well do these and get them out the way now, right? We can always do a tree and whip that out in about 3 seconds, but I gotta have these. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. I've figured it out. I've figured out what we're gonna do. Like this. I'm gonna flip this guy. This. And that way we'll be able to make it a lot easier in my own head if I'm doing it like this versus horizontal, right? You only get one shot. You only get one shot at this. So we're gonna get a little bit of our odorless mineral spirits. Get over here into our plaque mix. We need a very, very thin brush, like the Paint with Josh liner brush, which will be available soon. And we're gonna start from up here, work our way down. I'm not gonna try to get in your guys' way, but I also have to see my own self, right? So let's get in here, follow along our little lines. Trying to be as slight as possible. So small. So small. Oh, just so small. You see how the Paint with Josh liner brush did that entire thing in one go? I just want you guys to know that. And it was upside down, meaning all the paint was tracking the other way with gravity. Okay, here we go again. Do you think we can do it and not mess it up? Here's how we try. Alright, come in, again, very small, very light, trying to keep my hand in the same spot on the canvas, trying to keep it the same distance. Ooh, Nelly. Whew. Almost made that guy all the way. I had to move my hand there for a second. There we go. Come over here, start up a little higher. It's that stinking knob in the way. Alright, a little bit higher. Into here, very lightly, very lightly, very lightly, very lightly, all the way down. Bang, there we go. Gorgeous. Very small little things. Do you think we can do the next one? Type it in the comments now. Get our hand and everything lined up prior so you can just track that line and not be too far away, not be too close. I can't see anything, so that's good. Oh man, alive! You guys, this one's looking really cool. I'm telling you, you're gonna want to grab it while you can. Let's come over here and maybe a little touch. Now, if you can get these guys to be lighter in your color and your touch, then that is going to be what you want. Pull away and stop there for a second. Whew! I started to lose my track. Okay, I gotta get down to there, right? So we're gonna go down to there, through the cloud, which is where I couldn't see. So, very softly. My own hand is gonna get in my way. Very softly. Look at this guy. Perfect. So we skipped an area, and then we're gonna put our last guy right onto the top, right? Any areas that we've touched up here, either with our maul stick or whatever, can be blended away very easily. I'm not going to want to touch this now, though, because it's very wet. You can't brush over it. You can't touch it one single section. Because literally, it will blend right away and get lost to the edges. Okay, now here's the last one. Get a little bit more of our thinner. Down into the odorless mineral spirits, onto this side. Okay, now we gotta change our whole angle again. And this one kind of droops, so it's a little tricky, right? Because it's supposed to look like it's drooping versus here. So we're gonna come in, lay it down right over my initial track. Start to find my point of reference way down the bottom. Bink. Oh man. Oh, that's cool. See how it's a little bit thicker at the top, a little bit thinner as it gets towards our deal down here. It's perfectly fine. Or we can go back over it, all up to us, and what we want it to look like. Oh man, oh man. Okay. I didn't think I was going to be able to do that during a live show. I've always thought, like, oh, I'll never be able to do that during a live. Like, I wouldn't be able to concentrate or be able to get my hand to move that seamlessly and that softly across the whole thing. Isn't that fabulous? Now, these little guys, you get much less paint on the brush, and then you can kind of connect them. Little lines. This guy down to here. Again, very small. Very small. And then our last guy. Very small into the distance, right? You're not going to see these lines so far away. Just not going to. Right? They're going to disappear and get bigger and closer to us. They get a lot bigger and darker. Right? Now, let's get in here and let's throw a couple trees into this little beauty. Just a few little trees, but first things first, we're going to scrape up all this paint, clear us up an area, and while I'm cleaning up, you guys got to tell me where you're watching from and what time is it right now. Let's scoop up all this stuff and make us a nice area that we can mix up a big old dark pile of paint in, right? A little bit of our black, a little bit of our crimson, a little bit of our blue. And mix it down into this deep dark color. You can see a bit of the crimson right there. See that reddish color in there? No more. Mix it down until we can't see anything but that plaque. The deep, the dark, the plaque mix. The nastiness. Okay, let's get over here. We're gonna grab a big old fan brush. And I'm gonna put one big tree on this side, right? I can just feel it. But maybe, just maybe. Ooh. Oh, man. Okay, let's try something. We can always cover it, right? We can always cover it if we don't like it. Let's take the Paint with Josh filbert brush. Where are you? Maybe not the Paint with Josh filbert brush. Where is... Ah, here it is. Okay, let's take the Paint with Josh filbert. Let's see if we can paint like some faraway little... like hay bales or something. You know what I mean? We should be able to. We should be able to paint a hay bale or so, I would think. Right? Let's mix up what a little bit of hay might look like. Maybe a bit of our brown, a bit of our white, a bit of our yellow. Mix this guy up over here. That might look like hay. Hey! This might look like hay. Alright, let's see. If we get right, we can always cover it with a big old tree. We don't like it. I'm going to try something. If I come up here, push it flat, rotate it like I do with our moons and stuff. Right? Just like that. Okay. Alright. Then, what would happen? What would happen if we take that same color, one little fan brush, and make it back a little ways, and then kind of drug it over that? Kinda. I mean, I guess if we could keep it dark enough. Right? You guys tell me, what do you think? Does that look like a little hay bale out there? Because we're just experimenting with stuff. Right? That's all we do when we paint, is we experiment and go, alright, let's see if we can get rid of this green color, perhaps. It will stop changing my color that I want, right? Let's wipe off that color right there. Nice and dark. And get rid of all the green. And then we'll see if my brush can stay that bright. So, tell me what you think. Do you think it looks like a hay bale? It may not, and that's perfectly fine. If it doesn't look like one to you, then that's fine. Right? It doesn't have to look like one to you. Dude, that kind of does to me. I mean, if we clean up around the base, right, where it looks like it's kind of laying flat. I mean, come on, right? Right. Right. Now, let's get in here and make it a little bit brighter on the top, because it falls over. Maybe we need some white on the brush. Might be what it is. There's a little old rounded little hay bale out there, right? Again, we get to decide when it's done, and if we don't like it, we can always go back in and erase it. You know what I mean? Put a big tree over it. Do whatever. Right? So now, look, we got this bit of brightness out there, but in my mind, right, what do we need at the base of that brightness? A little dark separator. So if we get in here with our bit of our plaque mix, toss it maybe off the back side. Doesn't need to be so dark, but we can always go back over it and put that grass back right up in there. But at least now, right, if we kind of scrape it in, at least now it looks like there's a little shadow off the back side of our little guy, which, by the way, we would probably need off the backside of our little building. Let's drop a little shadowing off the backside. We get to determine, guys, what it looks like, how dark it is, how big it is, this, that, and the other. And then we can always go back with our little grassy brush and tap back the grass however we wanted it to be, right? All up to us. Each time we do it, we look a little bit different. And that's the best part about art to me. Right there, right? We came up underneath our little hay bale of a dude. Right? I mean, tell me. Oh, God, that's cool. That's cool, dude. That's a neat little hay bale. Now, I'm sure you could go crazy with your details, right? Maybe we could come in here and do like a little, yeah, just like that. A couple little crazy little circles. And smaller and smaller and smaller. You know what I mean? It's like adding just a little touch, little things. Maybe you wanted it to wrap around like a little sausage. I don't know. I don't know how you want yours to look. You know what I mean? But just trying out some stuff. Always go back and just make it a little softer. Right? You decide each time what you want. Now, let's get out here. Let's grab our big old fan brush. We know we're going to pop in a big old tree up here on the front, so let's throw something else, maybe a little smaller, off the back side of him. Maybe he's got a little tree that lives right there. Right? So we come in with our brush, just the corner, tapping on it, tapping on it, tapping on it. Lots of pressure, trying to deposit all of that paint, right? If we push on it enough to get all the darkness to stick right there, then it's going to be better than having it be too light, right? Again, we know we're going to have a big one right here, so should we give him a little friend in the night back there? Just a little friend, I guess. Let's pop him in above those lines, just to push them back behind our trees. And if we don't push the lines back, then they're going to look too close. Very cool. A couple little trees back there in the distance. Man, that's turning into a neat little painting if you ask me. Just, I mean, I don't know, who am I? But if you just ask me, it's a cool little painting over here. Dabbing it in, dabbing it in, dabbing it in. We get to decide how bright the brightness gets, where we leave our little dark areas and such. Right? Now, we don't even have to have that little guy. Right? But I kind of like him. I like him like that. I like him like that. I like him like that. No? You guys are mean. Oh, isn't that just fabulous? Isn't that just fantastic? Now, what if, just what if, oh, you guys, could we do it, is the question. Could we do it, would be the question. A little bit more of our darkness onto this guy over here, just because he's the very frontals. There we go. Stand down a little bit closer. Look at that, you guys. You guys. Tap it back a little bit. Tap it back, tap it back, tap it back. Little things, little things, little things. Look at those little trees. Those things are monstrous, right? Now, again, we know we're going to have our roadway right here. So we're trying to keep this area nice and clear of any paint. We can almost put our stripe in with our own finger, literally. Dude, actually looks really cool. A bit brighter, but yeah. Okay, so we've got our two trees back here. You could literally do anything you want. You could put a fence in if you wanted to. Put a fence back there. You could do anything that you wanted to do, right? Every single time that you do it. Well, let's take this dark paint. We're going to wiggle it down through our brush. You tell me where time, where you're watching. What time is it where you're watching right now? And we're going to go a little bit taller, maybe right here. Bang! Drop him down, right? Have this big old chunky little happiest of trees right out there. Right? Start popping in right into the brightest part of your sky with that immense, thank you, I appreciate that. With that immense dark color, right? Is going to help contrast, it's going to push your sky backwards, it's going to make your tree stand out. There's many, many things, why, many reasons why, thank you, appreciate it, why we do these things that we do, right? Now, again, wiggling down through the paint, trying to get as much of it off the palette and onto the brush as possible, hitting it from the trunk and working our way outwards. Sometimes you got to turn the brush over, sometimes you got to mush it in a bit more to get all that sticky, chunky, thick, crazy paint to deposit off of that brush and onto our canvas. That is the goal, to make it as thick and as wild as possible, right? We decide how far down it goes, how big it gets, how much it wants to wrap around the side of the canvas. It's all up to us, right? We are the deciders. We are the chosen few. 7:55 in Iowa. Remember, guys, if you like this painting, this is what I do for a living. So, this is how I Christmas shop in a few weeks. Is by painting paintings right now that you guys like enough to grab, right? So, head over. I've got Black Friday pricing in the store, paintwithjosh.com. Check it out. Over here, over there, dabbing little things. Oh, isn't that just fan-freaking-tastic? How you can get the coolest of things to work, right? Just the littlest of touches. Make something just epic, right? Now, let's go grab a touch of our liquid white. We need our liquid white into our sat green, because the liquid white will firstly brighten up the green to make it a much brighter color. And secondly, change the green from a very thick paint to a very wet, thin paint. And that thinner paint is going to deposit off of our brush with just literally the smallest of little touches. Now, we don't need a lot of color on these guys back here, right? So what we're doing is we're touching, and then with just the tip corner of the brush, touching onto our brighter side, trying to leave our darker side a little darker. Right? By the time we get over to our darker side and go back up the side of him, he's not so bright because our paint has mixed in with our brush. You see the dark corners? It's because we're literally taking the corner like that and tapping into it. You can see instantly that bit of darkness right there. So each time you tap onto your tree, you're dropping off some of that green and picking up some of that plaque. So you have to be mindful as you're doing it, right? A little bit of our green into our, our liquid white into our sap green. Let's come off of this guy. So a little tap over here. And little bits at a time, going so small, such a teeny tiny little touch. Right? Sometimes it comes off and it's very bright. Right? Sometimes it comes off and it's not so bright. So you've got to determine where you want it to be, where you want your bright areas, right? How you want your tree to look. But you have to have that deep darkness, right? That dark color, our base color that's in there, right? Because that base color is our depth, it's our shadows, it's all the stuff that's in between this side of the tree and the other side of the tree. If you don't have anything between your one side of the tree and your other side of the tree, and all you see is green and bright and gorgeousness, then guess what? You got a flat-ass tree. I'm just saying. You need to have those bits of darkness into your tree, right? You cannot go without a couple little bits of darkness in there. Otherwise, you lose all of your depth. And when your depth is gone, don't come crying to me, because I told you not to cover all your dark bits, right? Couple little things. Pow! Little spaces, right? Let's say Farmer Joe was playing fetch with old Fido, right? And he threw the ball into the tree, and the dog was running around the tree, couldn't get to it, right? Couldn't get the ball. You got to come reach over and grab the tree. Are you going to shove your hand right into one of those spiky bristles? Or are you going to try to reach and get in there and get that, whatever it is, ball, frisbee, whatever got chucked inside, right? That's why you have to leave the dark areas. They provide all the depth, right? All of the depth. Now, you guys, you got to start coming up with a name for this painting, right? Let me know what you think it should be called. PFG Pizza. Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me right now? Let me check this thing. Let's see over here, and I can access it on the computer screen. Excellent, dude. So, guys, we got a purchaser, which means they get to come up with the title for the painting, right? You guys might get to help them come up with a title for it, but when it all comes down to it, it's up to them what it's called, right? I'm gonna put in one more big old bush right in here too. So, if you guys can help them out by suggesting a few titles, right? I don't know, I think they're watching on TikTok, but you can answer on all platforms, right? What would you want this painting to be called? And maybe they might ditch the answer that they had ready and switch to your title suggestion just because of how good it was, right? But they're never going to know unless you type it in the comments. So, type it in right now. I'm going to mix up a little bit more of my Paint with Josh black mix. The deepest and darkest of all deep dark colors. Can we pin the purchaser again, please? Pin the old purchaser. Now, because your screen name doesn't match your, where is it? There it is. Because your screen name doesn't match your name that you bought it with, right? Can you just PFG Pizza? Can you just confirm for me the last 2 digits of your zip code, right? You don't have to say your state or your name or whatever, just the last 2 digits. Like for me, it would be it's 02, I think. Perfect. Okay, that's our guy. Just wanted to confirm, because you never know. Sometimes people try to sneak in. Like, yeah, no, I got it. So, PFG Pizza, you guys have to help them come up with a title for the painting, right? And then, when we get down to it, they're the ones that get to the final decision on what we're going to call it, right? So, I need to get a little bit more of my black paint on. That's why I stopped. You guys start typing in those title suggestions on all platforms. All platforms, all platforms. Type in your title suggestions, please. At this time. At this time, we are now titling the painting, so please type in your title suggestions. What would you like to call this 24 by 24 inch canvas? It's gorgeous, baby. All right, hey guys. You guys let me know. Let me know, man. Let me know. Crimson too. We run out all sorts of paints. All sorts of paints. And remember, we got Black Friday pricing and all sorts of deals on paintwithjosh.com. Head over there, check it out. I think that's enough. All right, we get a bit of our black, a bit of our crimson, a bit of our blue. We're gonna mix it down into our Paint with Josh black. All right, I like having big stuff up here in the foreground. Whether it's a big bush, or a big tree, or a big stick, or whatever it is. It's gotta be sort of big and it's gotta be sort of detailed, right? A lot more detail in this tree here versus those trees back there. That's purposely done that way, right? That way the guy up here looks a lot closer. Oh, dig it. Okay, we're gonna pop in one more big old monster. All right, come out here and get all that black mix. Trying to suck it all up into the brush. Looks like a vacuum. Right up there. Now we gotta come up a little higher than you think you might need to push those things back and retain our big, bushy perspective up here. Right? Start a little higher, look down, and a little bit higher up, filling in these spaces. Right? Not everywhere is going to be the same. I'm just tapping it out, tapping it out, tapping it out. Right? We get to decide what it looks like, my friends. Oh my! I like it. I already like it. Wrap it around for our purchaser over here. Now let's get a Paint with Josh round brush. Right? I'll do a little side-by-side comparison. You want to see? The Bob Ross round brush versus the Paint with Josh round brush. Nearly the same length. Mine's a little bit thicker, a little bit easier to handle on the handle, you know what I mean? And when mine comes initially from the manufacturer, when they get released, it's going to be like this big, right? I was like, oh my God, that's not going to make a bush. It's going to make nothing. So what I want you to do, when the brushes get released and you get yours, right, I want you to take it and sort of spin it and get it, there we go, try to get it flat and literally mush it. Just mush it as flat as you can. Spin it a few times just so it fattens out. The more wide it's going to be, the better, okay? Now, let's get in here and let's say, maybe, wouldn't that be nice if we threw just a couple little purpley little flowers on this guy? We're going to go into our dioxazine purple with our liquid white. Now, if we don't dab in too many times, we're going to have white and purple on the brush at the same time. All right, so if we came up here, just dab in a couple little bits. Look how instantly some of those little guys are sprouting that white. Right? Maybe it's a little flower. Maybe it's something here. Maybe it's something there. Whatever it is, we're not going to try to cover all of our little bush. Right? We don't need every place to be so bright and purpley and flowered. We can have some dark spaces, right? You have to be able to reach inside and grab something, guys. Seriously. Okay, you guys start coming up with the title. PFG Pizza is going to, I'm pretty sure that's what it is going to choose which title that's going to be. And then you guys are going to have an awesome Black Friday, man. Awesome. All right. By the way, I would like to know in the comments, raise your hand if you went Black Friday shopping at midnight last night. Let me know. Let me know. Did you go to a physical store and go Black Friday shopping last night? That's my question. Right? The last time I went to an actual store on Black Friday night, like Thursday night, you know what I mean? Years and years ago. Is it still wild? You know what the most deceiving part was? The most deceiving part of Black Friday, I'll tell you exactly what it is. Went at 4 in the morning. Ugh. Mac Squash says, I put 4 people in the hospital. Like, those are my PS6s or whatever we're up to now. That's funny. The most deceptive part of Black Friday is that when you walk into the store, right? At least when I would go, you walk into the store, it looked like no one was there. You're like, oh, sweet, this is fantastic. There's like 4 people around. I must be the only one that thought to shop here. And then you get up to the line, and everyone that should be in the store is in line. And you're like, oh, that's why no one was walking around. They've all been here for 30 minutes, waiting to check out. I see. So, it's very deceptive. Very, very deceptive. I'm like, oh, this is going to be nice and quick and easy. I'm going to be able to get in, get my stuff, and get out of here. Nope. Because everyone's waiting for you in the lines. Oh, the lines. I know why the Grinch hated lines. Literally. There we go. The old Grinchy pants. So you guys start coming up with the title. I'm going to clean off like 3-4 more brushes. And then we'll be ready. We'll do the light party. We'll do all the fun stuff. How did your Thanksgiving go? Please type it in the comments. I would love to hear how your Thanksgiving went. I did my very first turkey on my own. Very first turkey ever. And it turned out literally amazing. I've never tasted a turkey like this turkey. It was fantastic. Everyone at the party loved the turkey. I was like, I was so nervous because I've never done a turkey before. So I was like, guys, is it good? Like, don't lie. Like, is it all right? I can take it if it's not that bad. Just tell me. Like, if it's horrible, let me know. Because it tastes good to me. It smells good. For sure. I think that's part of the judging process while cooking it. I'm like, well, it smells really good, so it must taste really good. Here's your actual testament to how good it tasted, right? My daughter sent me a text message and said, Dad, Mom is talking about you to all of her friends. And I'm like, oh, God. And she's like, about how good your turkey was. I was like, yes. Yes. Right? That's how good the turkey was. That's how good the turkey was. Now, you guys, I hope you come up with a title. And I hope you guys are ready for the light party. So we're going to give you a flash warning right now. Here's your flash warning. Okay, there was your warning. No, I'm just kidding. So the lights are going to go crazy on the screen. They're going to flash, they're going to change colors, they're going to do all sorts of stuff. So if you're sensitive to that, turn your phone away for about 10 to 20 seconds, starting in about 5 seconds. Everybody who's going to be watching the show or the light party, tell me where you look first. Get ready to type it. Right? Get your thumbs ready. Say, I'm ready. Type it in right now. I'm ready. And then as soon as I see enough I'm readies, we're going to hit the lights. And then you tell me what you're looking at. Clouds, barn, tree, sky, whatever. Get ready to type it in. Are you ready? Do I see enough readies in the comments? Are you ready? Oh, stop it, Mac Squatch. Are you ready? He's looking at me. I love Mac. All right. Here's your flash warning starting in 3, 2, 1. Light party! Boom! Oh, where do you look first? Man, if that's not fantastic. Type it in the comments. Where are you looking? Where are you looking? Type it in now. Type it in now. We got clouds, barns, sunset, sky, barn, sky. Where do you look? Where do you look? The old tractor. It'd be cool if I could actually paint a tractor. That would be cool. The sky, the shed. I dig it. I dig it. Okay. The light party is now concluded, guys. You may now look back at your phones. It is over. And we're going to come up with our title just right here. I need to pop in the last little touch of our roadway. The more you go down, the bigger it's going to get. Zip. And you usually can't do it in one go because it's supposed to get a bit bigger. So, if we connect onto this little guy, just like that, just like that, and boom, fill it in. That's a pretty white line of a road, let me tell you. Okay, what do we got for a title? PFG Pizza in the house, everybody. Sure, guys. Dude, I am so excited, you guys, for the new studio that's opening up soon. We're going to be doing a lot of preparations, moving, flooring, getting all this stuff set up, and then going to be open for business, baby. It's going to be really cool. I hope you guys come down to my studio and take a class. Please, I'll beg you. I'll get on my hands and knees if you want. Come down and take a class from me. I swear, you will not be disappointed. And you'll leave with something just as cool or cooler every time you do a class. Literally. Literally every single time. So, I hope you guys are ready. Classes are coming soon. I teach classes right now. I just teach them out of my apartment, which isn't the most, ideal situation. So, getting the studio is going to be monumental. I'll be able to teach more people at once. I'll be listing classes ahead of time, so we'll be able to paint this picture on this date, sign up for it, blah, blah, blah. And hopefully you get enough students to keep the place open, right? It'll be really cool. So, what do we got for a title? Is it FG or PNG? No, PNG is the title, a file, isn't it? Or is it PFG? PFG Pizza, Country Life Dreaming. I like that. That is cool, guys. So, we're going to take this guy up here, flip it around. Original canvas painting that you have now purchased. Over here. Sign this old guy. This one is number 1583, the year that Columbus sailed around the ocean blue sea. Google it. Google it. What are we calling it again? Country Life Dreaming. Dig that. Country Life Dreaming. Boom, boom, boom. Painted on 11/29 of 2023. And we're all going to go to paintwithjosh.com because beyond TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all the mega super sites, right? Paintwithjosh.com is at least in my top 5. I don't know about you guys, but it's in my top 5. Now, let me set this down right here. Finish the tip top of this canvas real quick. Our easel tends to block it when we're doing our painting live, so we're going to come back and get some of that color on and just color up the door tip tops. That way, you don't have to frame it, you know what I mean? You can hang it exactly like it sits right here. Nice little blend around the top. Bang, and it'll hang off a little thumbtacks, literally. You can hang it off of one thumbtack if you wanted to. I'd go with 2, just to be safe. But, just like so, guys. Boom, boom, boom. So, I can't wait to see your guys' versions of this painting. If you send them in to either my Instagram page, which is paintwithjoshk, or my Facebook page, which is official Paint with Josh, right? So, Facebook.com/official Paint with Josh or Instagram.com/paintwithjoshk, and you'll be able to send me your finished versions of your tutorials. Now, we're going to say goodbye to the YouTube and the Facebook crew, and then we'll get out the old spinny winny wheel, all right? So, I love you guys. I can't wait to come back. We'll do it again on Monday, Cyber Monday. It's going to be really cool. I have no idea what we're going to paint until that day, until an hour before the show. So, I love you guys. I can't wait to see you guys again. And until I see you again next time, take care. gonna get through it. And blah, blah, boom! You guys, holy moly. Holy moly.